the media for some reason just loves tearing down Shedeur Sanders. No matter what he does, they just find a way to hate on him, from patting the ball with several quarterbacks like Brady, Mahomes have done, to just saying that he's like the second coming of Andy Dalton, but a little bit worse. I'm just trying to figure out what people see in Shedeur Sanders that doesn't make them think this dude is destined to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. If there was ever a quarterback prospect that I'm willing to bet on that's going to be a future all-time great, it's the son of Deion Sanders. And the whole shebang about, oh, he's only being hyped up because of his last name. Well, if that's the case, why isn't Deion Sanders Jr. in the NFL? Why is Shiloh Sanders projected to be a UDFA? It just really pisses me off, the unfair discourse that Shedeur has for someone who changed around the program. He wasn't lying when he said he's a winner. Everywhere he goes, he changes the program. I didn't know what the hell Jackson State was until Shedeur arrived. Colorado has been irrelevant since the freaking 90s until Shedeur got to Boulder. When I see Shedeur, I see somebody who's really accurate, the most accurate passer in this draft class, takes great care of the football, and every time the game was on the line, he did nothing but show up. He has poise, confidence, and this is somebody that from week one should be a day one starter in this league. How are you feeling about Shedeur Sanders and how he projects to the next level?
First off, JT, thank you for that warm welcome and thank you for the opportunity to come on your platform and be able to talk some ball with you today. I appreciate you, brother. As far as Shedeur Sanders goes, the number one reason why he is thought of the way that he's thought of is simply on my shirt here. That's why I wore it for this episode, because if Shedeur Sanders wasn't the son of Deion Sanders, these expectations and these criticisms, would they be so loud? Would they be so obvious? Would they be so um, evident? I don't know, because when I watch the tape on Shedeur Sanders, I see easily a top 15 player in this draft. I see a top two quarterback in this class, and no one else even comes close. Besides obviously Cam Ward, who is my current QB1. So when you look at Shedeur Sanders, you've already mentioned his accuracy. You have already mentioned how he takes care of the ball. What I like about Shedeur Sanders is when things break down, we all know what he can do because things broke down in Colorado all the time. Even with the improvement on the offensive line this year, Shedeur Sanders still was running for his life, still having to scramble and make plays sometimes. Like at the end of the what was it, the Colorado State game?
Baylor game.
Whatever game week 4 was, when he had to throw that Hail Mary to DeJounte
LeJounte.
Webster for them to even have a chance to win that football game. So we've seen Shedeur Sanders for 2 years in Colorado. As I mentioned before we even started the podcast, we saw what he did at Jackson State in his freshman and sophomore year. This is a proven kid. This kid has proven himself time and time again, but
Multiple
because of
years
his
as a
last
starter
name,
too.
but right, because of his last name, you know what I'm saying? Because of all the hype, because of the fact that he has his own logo, because of the fact that he raps as well, because he has confidence in himself, and the cameras are always on him, and the lights are always bright around him. People have been turned off by that, but it doesn't turn me off. No pun intended. Like, I love everything that Shedeur Sanders brings to the table, skill set wise. Is he my favorite person? He isn't, but it really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I'm drafting him to play football for me, and I know that he's coming from a coach and a father that has trained him very well on how to handle the acclimats of being an NFL player and an NFL quarterback. So I don't understand the Shedeur Sanders hate, and it's not my job to, because I'm not one of the haters. So as long as he continues to block out the noise, continues to work with his quarterback coach, who also coaches Cam Ward, an excellent, excellent quarterback coach. I think Shedeur Sanders is going to be completely fine. If it was me, I'm taking him top 5 in this draft without any hesitation. It remains to be seen, though, where he goes based on how the NFL sees him.
Shedeur Sanders falling in the draft is going to remind me similarly to when everybody slept on Lamar Jackson in 2018. Remember, he was nitpicked, he was scrutinized. Folks questioned just how accurately could he throw the ball at the NFL level. Remember, it was a former general manager, Bill Polian, I believe it was, said that he should switch from quarterback to receiver. Shador is getting that same level of hate, and it's rooted in the hate that folks had growing up for his father, and now it's hereditary hate that's carrying over to him. But he's built for this. He's not new to this. He's true to this. And whoever gets Shedeur Sanders is getting a bona fide 15-year starter, somebody that has the ability to elevate you to a Super Bowl caliber level, and somebody that's going to give you a shot at going toe to toe with some of the best quarterbacks in the league. If New Orleans does take him ninth overall, it might not be a rebuild. You instantly could compete for the NFC South with Shedeur having Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. You got a pretty decent offensive line. Kellen Moore, it's not like this dude's a novice. Was he on the top of the head coaching market? No, but he's been a pretty solid coordinator everywhere that he's been at every single stop. So I feel really confident that if I had to put all of my life earnings on any quarterback in this draft class outside of Cam Ward becoming a potential all-time great, I'm willing to bet the house on Shedeur.
Yeah, I mean, very well said. It's not even close. I smiled a little bit when you said Kellen Moore because as a Cowboys fan, that name Kellen Moore still leaves a bad taste in my mouth. But I will give him his credit. Last season for the Philadelphia Eagles, now mind you, he was calling plays for the Philadelphia Eagles. That was one of the best offenses that this league has seen in a long time. With Saquon Barkley running behind the offensive line, obviously Jalen Hurts and Smith and Brown and Goddard as the outside weapons, but I do agree. I think that the Saints are an interesting spot for Shador because they're in a situation where you could say offensively they are quarterbacked away from maybe competing for a playoff berth instead of trying to compete for, you know, uh, the lottery, I guess you could say. Um, but overall, I mean, Shador Sanders is a very, 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 very good quarterback prospect. He's not perfect. He does have his weaknesses like everyone else. That deep accuracy is not my favorite part about him. He also sometimes still does get in hero mode a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's clear as day that when you look at all the quarterbacks in this class, it's Cam Ward and Shador Sanders is literally right here. Everyone else is just trying to get drafted in a reasonable spot where they make themselves some money, honestly. Like, I get the Jackson Dart hype, right? Obviously, I get the Jalen Milroe hype. That athletic wise, I mean, the last athlete to come out like that, um, not counting Anthony Richardson's Lamar Jackson, so Jalen Hurts. So get that. But as far as Shedeur Sanders, he should comfortably be a top five pick. And it's a shame we're even having this conversation. And like we were saying again before the pod, it's like these guys just get prospect fatigue so easily. I mean, my goodness, we saw it last year with Caleb Williams and Drake May for that matter. You know, they tried to, now mind you, Jaden Daniels ended up being a stud, which I got to eat some crow on that. He ended up being a stud, but Caleb Williams didn't have a terrible rookie year. He was on a terrible team, and Drake May was on one of the worst teams in the
It
NFL, and
was
he
still
still
a
had his
pretty
moments.
good,
So,
yeah, yeah.